Shamans, you guys have been waiting a while for this. You are finally getting a massive amount of attention. Your class rework has been officially announced. And if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, then smash that subscribe button. I am very excited to see what it is that they are going to be bringing to your class. All three specializations are addressed in this post, and I will be covering and providing gameplay as well in the future here on this channel when it's available. But unfortunately, right now, this was a bit of a hectic release. They only deployed part of it, but I was able to find this official post by Kyvax 2 hours ago that discusses everything in detail with what they are going to be doing. And I think pretty soon on the beta, we're going to actually be able to get this on our hands and be able to play it. So the first thing is Sky Fury is returning. The Sky Fury totem is to the class as a baseline. Throughout Dragonflight, they're basically adding a raid buff, and it's going to be the old school Wind Fury totem plus a little bit of mastery. I think it's about 2% mastery. So all the melee DPS that loved Wind Fury totem, that bad boy is coming back, and it's going to be buffing casters as well with the 2% mastery, which is really good for things like Resto Shaman more specifically. But really any spec of Elemental Shaman, I think mastery is still reasonably desirable. So I thought that was really cool that they're bringing back that iconic effect. It's going to make you really desirable in raid and also give you more interesting synergies for PvP like Shaman used to have. So very, very excited for this. I think that's overall going to be well received for Shaman players across the board. You're just going to be more desirable as a class. For the class tree specifically, they are focusing on reducing the node count for defense and throughput to focus your choices more around utility that help with the group as opposed to personal survivability, it seems at this point. And they've changed some of the pathings and reduced a significant count on the overall talents, which is their goal for the class trees. For Elemental Shaman specifically, they want to be able to focus you on being able to build your character for lightning, lava, or focusing between weaving them all together, which I think is a really cool place for Elemental Shaman to sit based on this. So this initial paragraph really got me excited for that. And I really want to play it, honestly, after reading this, but they do go more into detail. We'll cover that in the video here as well, but that's just the overview for Elemental. For Restoration Shaman, they did some updates to focus on condensing down the availability of damage-focused nodes to focus up and try and open up more healing profiles and more choices by moving more nodes around. And they're basically going to be buffing the crap out of Spirit Link Totem and Healing Surge, bringing back effects where Spirit Link is now going to splash some AoE healing, and then Healing Surge is going to be able to tap into more bonuses as well moving forward. So those are the two main spells that they're focusing on. For Enhancement Shaman, they seem to be pretty happy with where it is, so they're not going to be doing a huge amount of changes to it, but they are making a lot of baseline talent tree changes that are going to give you a lot more options and selection, I think, at least in the class tree specifically. Now, class tree specifically, this is where things get really cool. Many talents have been moved. Sky Fury Totem, obviously, and it is 2% mastery, and auto attacks have a 20% chance to instantly strike again, which are going to be really good for classes, I think, like Demon Hunter and maybe even things like Outlaw Rogue that have other effects tied into their auto attacks, that this could completely break the game, honestly. New talent, Elemental Resistance. Healing from Healing Stream's Totem is going to reduce fire, frost, and nature damage by 6%, so giving you more damage reduction. Healing from Cloudburst Totem will reduce those effects by 3, and it'll make pressing Healing Stream feel a lot better, because at the moment, I think, at least in PvP, you basically just don't press it because the healing output isn't worth losing the damage global, and you have so many damage globals to juggle. But this gives you a bit more of a reason to actually use it. Refreshing Waters is basically moving from the spec tree to the class tree, so Healing Surge is just 25% more effective on yourself, which means you don't have to give up a choice on the other side of the tree. Traveling Storms, which was previously a PvP talent, is now a baseline Shaman talent. Thunderstorm can be cast on allies. It will snare enemies by 60% and knock them 25% further. Very curious to see what the knockback distance ends up being on this, because that could be really good, I think, in PvP, but in PvE, generally, knockbacks are kind of bad. It's nice as like a pseudo interrupt, but you generally don't want to knock them further because it spreads them out from getting AoE'd. But Seasoned Winds, which is a PvP talent, is now also available in the class tree, which means your PvP talents are more open as well. Interrupting a spell with Wind Shear will decrease the damage taken from that spell school by 15% for 18 seconds, and it stacks up to 2 times for 30%. I'm a bit worried about this in PvP becoming like high wins for Boomkin where they were cycloning everybody and no one was taking damage. I do have some very big concerns, especially because this is going to be a lot more accessible as opposed to losing a PvP talent for it. And I think it's also lowering the stacks. I think at the moment, at least playing my Shaman, it's a 3 stacks. So it takes a bit longer to actually ramp it up, but only at 2 gets you pretty fast at 30% damage reduction, which I think may end up being ridiculously strong. Encasing Cold, Frost Shock snares targets by an additional 10%, and its duration is increased by 2 seconds. Frost Shock was very lackluster as far as being a snare for almost all Shaman specs, so you got a talent here to make Frost Shock a little bit more juicy. Arctic Snowstorm, enemies within 10 yards of Frost Shock will also be snared by 30%. Very minor, probably not going to be too big of a deal. I can't imagine anybody really taking this too much unless you were literally the only snare in the group, which is really unlikely, especially in like Mythic Plus. New talent, Ascending Air. The cooldown of Windrush Totem is reduced by 30 seconds, and its movement speed effect lasts an additional 2. When I first saw this, I thought kind of like, Windrush Totem is kind of meh, but they're adding a secondary effect to it, I think a little bit later down here. Enhanced Imbues. The effects of your weapon imbues are increased by 20%. Now, unfortunately for Elemental Shaman, as far as I understand, Flame Tongue gives you like a proc fire damage on your attack, so it's great for enhancement, but for Ellie, it doesn't really do anything. It'd be nice if they added like an elemental focused imbuement, maybe like a lightning imbuement or something that increases some effect for lightning spells, because the Ellie Shaman I think gets no benefit from this like basically at all. I think you got like a talent in your baseline tree or your class tree that gave you like 5% fire damage or something when you had it on your weapon. So if this buffs that, then sure, it's going to give you some benefit, but I would really like to see them add some new weapon imbues. It's been Flame Chung, Wind Fury, and everything for a long time. Be cool to get a new one. New talent, Stone Bulwark Totem. So the Absorb Totem is coming back from Cataclysm, where you drop an Earth Totem and it gives you a big shield for 30 seconds. It's a 2-minute cooldown. So I'm imagining this thing's probably going to be on the power level of like a Life Cocoon, which could be really strong in terms of personal defense. And it's available to all Shamans. New talent, Jetstream. Here's the effects. For Windrush Totem, speed is increased by 10%, and it removes all snares, giving you team utility. Previously, like you had Windrush Totem before, that could be down, I think it was every minute. This one might be every minute if it's a 30-second cooldown reduction. It's maybe a minute and a half or somewhere in between. But this is great for snare suppression, which is again another Cataclysm. They got a lot of Cataclysm class design influence here, because I think it's like Earthbind Totem gives you snare suppression in Cataclysm. That's gonna be really good for enhancement. Honestly, maybe even really good for any Shaman that's playing with a melee DPS. Melee DPS are really gonna like you. I like that, synergizing, building class synergies around certain specs so that they're like, hey, when I got this class in my group, I feel like there's going to be something cool happening with us together. I think that's a really good change. New talent, Primordial Bond. While an elemental is active, you just take 5% reduction in damage. I think that existed in the class tree, at least for Ellie at some point, but you get the 6% magic DR, the 5% from this. Voodoo Mastery redesigned. Your Hex is going to be slowed by 70%. During it and after, and it reduces the cooldown. So your Hex is going to be a really powerful snare effect to peel melee DPS off yourself. This is going to be really nice. Flurry, so they removed a lot of the baseline talent trees that were like enhanced specific, so Flurry for auto attacks, that's just gone. It's in the enhancement tree now. The cooldown of Gust of Wind is just baseline getting reduced. So you're going to get a little bit more mobility as well. 30 down to 20. I think before you could get it down to 25 with a talent. Now it's just down at 20. Earth Grab Totem and Windrush Totem no longer share a node. That's good as well. So you don't have to pick between the root and pick between this new freedom effect. You're going to be able to get maybe both of those. Lightning Lasso and Thundershock are also not going to share a node. The following talent points are now 1 talent point: Totemic Focus, Elemental Warding, Nature's Guardian, Winds of Valkyrie. This is a lot. Nature's Fury, Totemic Surge. I think this is a crit effect. Okay, so this is a lot of new goodies and a lot of nice cost reductions. Following talents have been completely removed. Go with the Flow, Flurry, Maelstrom Weapon, Enfeeblement. Stone Skin is gone. I don't think it's going to be a huge loss. So Tranquil Air Totem saw a little bit of play throughout the expansion of Dragonflight. Probably just created more toxic mechanics than anything as far as being able to avoid interrupts with it, so it's probably just good that it's gone. Ancestral Defense is gone. Surging Shields is also gone. And Swirling Currents. I'm trying my best to remember if this is something to do with like Earth Shield healing or not. Somebody remembers with Shaman. I've been playing a lot, but I remember the details of all this very specifically. It's pretty rough, but this one could be a big deal. I'm not 100% sure. For hero talents, Undulation is now going to trigger Call the Ancestors to call in more Ancestors, and the healing from Chain Heal from Totemic Rebound is being buffed by 400%. So for Enhancement Shaman, that is a really, really, really big one. With your totems like spamming out chain heals and the effects that are coming out of this, I think that's gonna be really big, especially with the buffs they're giving to Healing Rain, Spirit Link, and Healing Surge. It's gonna be a lot of throughput. Now, Elemental, this is the rework I think that a lot of people were anticipating. What exactly is going on? I really want this lightning focus build to be more viable. Fusion of the elements. After casting Ice Fury, the next time you cast a nature and a fire spell, you additionally cast an elemental blast at your target at 60% effectiveness. That makes pressing Ice Fury a lot more appealing, getting a stat buff and an extra little big chunk of damage off of something like a Lava Burst, like Ice Fury into Lava Burst. That seems really good. New talent, Storm Frenzy. Your next Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt has a 40% reduced cast time after casting Earth Shock, LA Blast, or Earthquake, and can accumulate up to 2 charges. So almost instant cast Lightning Bolt. 80% reduction. Not instant cast, but close to instant cast. This is very similar to the one where when you Earth Shock, you get a Lava Surge proc. And I think they removed that talent. So this is likely in an attempt to replace that. I think they're really looking at changing the core gameplay for Elemental, and that's a lead in there. But it does make Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning a lot more appealing, and weaving between your spenders and your builders a bit better as well. New talent, Elemental Unity. While a Storm Elemental is active, your nature damage is increased by 10%. While a Fire Elemental is active, your fire damage is increased by 10%. Again, to fall within the synergies of whether you want to focus around lightning or fire. New talent, Lightning Conduit. While Lightning Shield is active, your nature damage dealt is increased by 8%. New talent, Everlasting Elements, increases the duration of your elementals by 20%, which is going to be really good with having them out, giving you baseline damage increase. New talent, Thunderstrike Ward, imbue your shield with the element of lightning for 1 hour, giving Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning a chance to call down 2 Thunder Strikes on your target for nature damage. Curious to see what that looks like, if it's just kind of the generic Lightning Strike animation or if it's a new one, but really a lot of empowerments focused around Lightning Bolt so far with this build. Earthen Rage, your damage spells incite the earth around you to come to your aid for 6 seconds, repeatedly dealing nature damage to your most recently attacked target. I think this is a previously existing effect for Shaman in another expansion. Can't put my name on which one it was, but it's just extra proc damage. New talent, Echo of the Elements. When your Storm Elemental or Fire Elemental expires, it leaves behind a lesser elemental to continue attacking your enemies for 15 seconds. As long as that works with the damage increase from your elemental, because this is, Fire Elemental is active, Storm Elemental, will the minor minions count as well to that? The first Ascendant, the cooldown of Ascendance is reduced by 60 seconds. Never really took Ascendance as Ellie, at least in PvP. I don't know if you did in PvE, let me know, but maybe this is going to make it more appealing. The fact that your haste is increased by 25% while Ascendance is active, and its duration is increased by 3 seconds. So a longer duration, reduced cooldown, more ability to get all these lightning bolts out. New talent, Fury of the Storms. Activating Stormkeeper will now summon a powerful lightning elemental to fight by your side for 8 seconds. Will this give you the buff? I kind of doubt it. Also, is this like a pet summon and no longer increases your light and makes your lightning bolt instant? Because this doesn't say. No, I assume it makes your lightning bolt instant and gives you a pet. With the way this reads, right? Primordial Fury has been redesigned. Now increases the critical strike damage bonus of Elemental Fury by 25%. Ice Fury has been redesigned. Casting a Lava Burst has a chance to replace your next Frost Shock with Ice Fury, stacking up to 2 times. It's going to reduce the keybinds here with Frost Shock shifting between them, although it will mean you lose access to your instant cast Snare for a hard casted ability. Now, the Farseer talent tree does have a way to make your next spell instant, and with the changes to Ice Fury towards the top, if you cast off that instant Ice Fury with the Ancestral Swiftness, I think the spell is called, from the hero talent tree, then your next Earth Shock or Lava Burst would then cast an Ellie Blast, and that could be a really big chain reaction of instant damage. Ice Fury now will only empower the next 2 Frost Shocks, though, down from 4. Elemental Overload has been redesigned, now increases all physical and elemental damage dealt. Why does it increase physical? The damage of elemental overloads is now 25% of normal damage, down from 85. That's a big loss, isn't it? Is now 25% of normal? Was previously 85. 85 is a higher number, isn't that? So it's this. Their entire master is getting nerfed. All your proc damage is getting nerfed. Maybe this means that the baseline consistent damage of your abilities will be higher as a trade-off, but this comes across initially as a pretty big nerf. Lava Surge is now learned at level 12 and has been removed from the class tree. So you don't need to worry about learning the instant cast Lava Bursts. Also, what about the other Shaman specs that like Lava Surge? Are they just losing it? That's going to be really sad. Inundate is now learned at level 14, has been removed from the elemental tree. The trigger rate of Lava Surge and Searing Flames now scales based on number of targets Flame Shock is on. In single target, it's going to trigger more, and in AoE, it should trigger less. So you're going to basically be rewarded for going more for single target damage, as opposed to, this is what I mean, that I think they're completely changing it away from the gameplay of like Flame Shock, Lava Burst procs, and Earth Shock into Lava Bursts, and trying to get it more into this kind of lightning bolt fast casted speed, kind of single target, more elemental Shaman, it seems. Flash of Lightning now also increases the critical strike chance of Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning by 10%. Swelling Maelstrom now also increases the damage of Earth Shock, Elemental Blast, and Earthquake by 5%. Master of the Elements now increases the damage of the next spell by 15. I'm assuming they made it one choice as opposed to 10 to 20. Echo Chamber now increases the damage of Elemental Overloads by 10, down from 8 to 15. A bit of a nerf here towards all of these effects. It seems like they're trying to target all of the RNG damage, though. Power of the Maelstrom now causes the next Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning to trigger an additional Elemental Overload. Was 2, can now stack up to 2 times. Magma Chamber can now only stack up to 10 from 20. Some really big like modifier stacking nerfs for Ellie. Elemental Equilibrium is now a 10%, down from 8 to 15. I'm assuming it means it's a 1-point node. Elemental Equilibrium is no longer a tracking debuff. I don't really know why they would remove that. I liked being able to know when it was coming off cooldown. Seems a bit strange to remove that. Eye of the Storm now reduces the Maelstrom cost of Earthshock and Earthquake by 5 and Elemental Blast by 10. I think that was already like that baseline. And Maelstrom is completely changed. Lightning Bolt's only generating 6, down from 8. Overload's 2 from 3. Just overall Maelstrom generation nerfs from all of the abilities for Ellie. This is a completely... They're trying to make this totally different for Ellie. This is not going to be like anything like it is in Dragonflight, whereas before it was like it was literally just going to be a clone, so maybe that's a good thing. But I have some concerns about it functionally, so I really want to get my hands on it. Flow of Power no longer increases Maelstrom generation from overloads, another nerf towards the overload mechanic. Stormkeeper has been removed from its choice node with Lightning Rod. Earthshock is now a choice against Ellie Blast. Earthquake is now a choice node with an option to have it be cast on your target. What is the trade-off of doing that? Because you can just get an @cursor macro. It basically does that, right? All nodes are 1 point. That's really nice. Tenuptuous Fissures, Focused Insight, Refreshing Waters, Primordial Bond, Call of Thunder, Call of Fire, Electrified Shocks, Wind Speakers, Lava's Resurgence, Oath of the Farseer, Further Beyond, Rolling Magma, Primordial Surge, Maelstrom Up, which makes sense with all the changes that they made above to that. So Ellie looks completely different. Now enhancement, they said they didn't want to do like a huge thing. They're going to be doing some light touches. Ellie definitely was not a light touch. That was pretty heavy-handed. For enhancement, Maelstrom Weapons just learned at 10, removed for the class tree. Feral Lunge is now learned at level 14, and you don't have to make a choice. Yes, you just get your mobility without having to lose something. That's so nice. Flurry moved from the class tree to the enhancement tree. Elemental blast damage reduced by 25%. The following talents have been removed: Wind Fury Totem, Focused Insight, and Refreshing Waters. Again, they moved those into the baseline tree, giving you back the old school Wind Fury effect with the new Sky Fury. So they really didn't do anything. Oh my god, that's literally like 5 things. I literally was just like, oh my god, now we're on to Resto. Like, that's it. That's actually just it for enhancement. But you're going to get all the benefits from the new Absorb Shield totems coming down, the freedom from snares as well, which I think is going to be well received. Nice little quality of life in terms of mobility. But the core mechanics of the class does not seem like it's going to be changing too much for you. For restoration, new talent Tide Waters. When you cast Healing Rain, each ally with your Riptide on them is healed. Just extra proc healing. New talent First Ascendant. The cooldown of Ascendance is reduced by 60 seconds. They're really focusing on reducing the cooldowns. Like almost every class now, I think, is having their main cooldown reduced down to by 60. Premiance. Your haste is increased by 25% while Ascendance is active as duration. So they're giving the same type of treatment for your Ascendance as they did for Elemental, but this is way better for Resto. Resto Ascendance is crazy good. New talent Reactive Warding. When refreshing Earth Shield, your target is healed for each stack of Earth Shield they are missing. When refreshing Water Shield, you are refunded mana for each stack of Water Shield missing. That's a really cool mechanic in terms of monitoring the stacks on each target and where you're going to be allocating those in terms of trying to get more regen. I like the mechanics of that. New talent White Water. Your critical heals have a 215% increased effectiveness, so just giving you the set bonus as like a class mechanic. New talent Spouting Spirit. Spirit Link Totem reduces damage taken by an additional 5%, and it restores health to all nearby allies 1 second after it is dropped. Spouting Spirit's healing is decreased beyond 5 targets. Spirit Walker's Tidal Totem has been redesigned. After using Mana Tide Totem, the cast time of your next 3 healing surges is reduced by 100%, and their mana cost is reduced by half. I mean, this is going to be a lot healthier, I think, than the current iteration of Mana Tide, which allows shamans like limitless mana regeneration, but giving you 3 instant cast healing surges? There's no way that goes through like that. Master of the Elements has been redesigned. Casting Lava Burst increases the healing of your next healing surge by 30%, stacking up to 2 times. And Healing Surge applies Flame Shock to nearby enemies when empowered by Master of the Elements. I don't really understand what Master of the Elements is, but being able to apply Flame Shock while healing, and then the Lava Bursts are going to buff your healing, is really going to focus you in on weaving damage. at the same time, and also probably enable you to do it a bit better. But in PvP, if it gets Flame Shock spread onto pets, not the right target, a bit worried about that type of stuff. Improved Earth Living weapon. Earth Living receives 150% additional benefit from Mastery Deep Healing. Healing Surge always triggers Earth Living on its target, so if you want to be able to apply a heal over time effect, they really focus in on Healing Surge. Earth and Harmony has been redesigned. Earth Shield reduces damage taken by 5%, and its healing is increased by up to 150% as the target's health decreases. Maximum benefit is reached below 50% health. These are crazy. These are so good for Resto. Downpour has been redesigned. Casting a healing rain activates Downpour, allowing you to cast Downpour within 6 seconds. Downpour, a burst of water at the target location, heals up to 5 injured allies with 12 yards and increases their maximum health by 10%. Okay, so Healing Rain's going to give you the 10% stamina increase now. It seems like Downpour is twice as effective for Totemic Resto Shamans. Living Stream has been redesigned. Now increases Healing Stream Totem's healing by 100%, decaying over its duration. Lava Surge is just baseline. Yes! Oh my god, this thing was so fun to take. It was so annoying to have to pick something else over it. Okay, that's really good. Current Control now reduces the cooldown of Healing Tide Totem by 45, up from 30. So Healing Tide and Ascendant's getting significant reductions in cooldown. Mana Tide Totem's radius is now 40 yards. Ancestral Awakening now triggers at a 20% base chance and increases to a 40% chance when activated by a critical strike. Torrent now additionally increases the chance for Riptide's initial heal to critically start by 8 to 15. Water Totem Mastery now activates on a chance, but its effect has been increased to 3 seconds of reduction. Water Shield has 9 charges. Okay, maybe I was going back. You're probably going to have infinite mana because based on that talent where you get mana back depending on the charges. Primordial Wave's cooldown has been reduced to 30 from 45. Oh my god, this is disgusting. Healing Rain now heals 5 targets down from 6, but its healing has been buffed by 17%. And Acid Rain now damages 5 down from 6, but it's getting buffed by 16%. Overflowing Shores now heals 5 targets down from 6, and healing increased by 14. Wave Speaker's Blessing is now a 2-point talent. The following talents are now 1-point: Tidebringer, Deluge, and improved Earth Living weapon. The following talents have been removed: Improved Primordial Wave, Tumbling Waves, Continuous Waves, Resonant Waters, Flash Flood, Stormkeeper. You're not able to get the big zaps anymore, but you get the baseline Lava Surges. Refreshing Waters. Please note that we intend to continue tuning and iterating on the changes above throughout the beta. We also have plans to update this. Updates that will come in a future patch in the War Within. So if everything doesn't get hit basically on the release of the expansion, they're going to continue iterating on it like they did with Dragonflight and improving them. And at the beginning stages of Dragonflight, I remember that being really good. So there's a massive buff to Resto Shaman. Ellie Shaman, I really want to get my hands on this to check it out. And Enhancement Shaman is basically just getting a bunch of quality of life, a little bit more mobility, and a lot of baseline spells that were, annoying to have to select before being baseline. So that seems good overall. And then the raid buff, obviously. So this seems very exciting. I'm glad Shamans are finally getting some love. Thank you guys very much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.